Hello, Brakin.
Good morning, Chair.
Morning, how are you?
I'm good. I can see that you look so beautiful. So that means you are fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I shouldn't ask.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Oh,
The
yes.
only, the only thing that I'll ask, are you using two gadgets?
I dropped the other one. I left the other one. I'm using one. I use the phone, but I have once disconnected it. So I'm using the iPad.
Okay.
Mm.
Are you fine?
Yeah.
Okay. I've changed the name to Chairperson Suel.
No.
I've changed the name.
Oh,
Not
what
to
is it?
comrade, to Chairperson Suel.
Not Honorable Swell.
Not,
Okay.
not comrade Suel.
But, the invitation to Durban, we did not discuss it yesterday. We are still waiting for logistics.
No, because we have not received it formally. It was over the phone. So we'll await the documentation.
Mm. I'm reading a message from that guy who received us. It's from DGRV, trip to Germany. Who's that guy's name?
Right.
Right, by the way, but here is WH
Come
Hassan
again.
Hayes.
It's
The one who wrote me this message is WH Hassan Hayes. I think is the one who wrote to you. It's in relation with the invitation which I'm talking about now. We'll discuss it after the meeting. No? But
okay.
I will forward the message to you now, so that in the meantime you can see it. I think I'm highly honored to be invited there. Just read the message in your WhatsApp. And,
Okay.
but here it speaks about the third to fourth. I don't know whether the same thing which you were also talking about. Just check it.
Okay, I'll check.
All right.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members, and greetings to everybody on the platform.
Good morning, Chairperson of the study group.
How are
Good
you
morning,
doing?
Mr.
Morning, Honorable Jacobs.
Morning, Honorable Kurga. How are you doing? And congratulations on being a grandfather. Is it your first?
Third one, but first daughter though.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but she looks like
Congratulations.
a. Thank you,
Congratulations.
Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. She looks like a granddad.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good start.
You're right. Yeah.
Chairperson,
Yes.
I think we can start because we do have 7 members. The others will join us.
Okay. Do we have honorable ministers in the DM?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
We've got I was informed that the DM will be the leader of delegation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good morning, everyone on the platform. You are warmly welcome to the meeting. The meeting
Recording
is
in
officially
progress.
opened. The purpose of the meeting is to get briefing from the department in relation with the oversight which occurred during March in the Northwest. So without waste of time, let me officially open this meeting. We'll now zoom to the second item. DM with your team, you are warmly welcome, as well as our officials and my colleagues. Let's zoom to the next item, which is the roll call and apologies. Do we have any apologies, Brakin?
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, DM, acting DG, CEO of FIFA, and colleagues from the department and from Parliament. Chairperson in the platform, I have admitted Honorable Kruger, Honorable yourself, Honorable Suela, Honorable Jacobs, Honorable Hendricks, Honorable Matulelwa, Honorable Somelan, Honorable Mieni, and Honorable Lubeng. Those are honorable members that have they are already in the platform. Honorable April has just joined, and then the CFO of the department. Then on the side of the apologies, Chair, I received an apology of Honorable Zumula, who indicated that they will not be able to join as he will be leading a delegation that is gone for morning at Umtwana Kapindangene. And then secondly, Chairperson, I have an apology of the minister. Thirdly, I have the DM. I was informed the DM will be the leader of the delegation from the department. However, he is joining the meeting while she is in Port Nolot, where the department is doing its imbizos. She might have some problems with the connection, but so far she is in the platform, Chair. I just wanted to indicate that should it happen that we lose her, it's because of the place in which she is in. So, Chairperson, those are the members in the platform, and well as the department from the department and SIFA. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Brakin. Apologies noted. Can I have a mover for the adoption of the agenda?
Chair, I will move to adopt the agenda as.
And I move for the
Thank you, Honorable Kruger. Any seconder, honorable members?
April is seconding, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable April. We'll now zoom direct to the business of the day, I'm now inviting the DM to lead a delegation with the understanding that where you are, there are problems of network, but you are happy that you have connected. DM, can you lead us in this item with your team? Over to you.
Good morning, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Violet Sivela, as well as good morning to all members of the committee, as the acting DG, if she's on the platform, and the delegation from the department. I heard Mr. King indicate that the CFO, I don't know, is it of the department or of CIFA that is on the platform, as well as the team from CIFA and all parties on the platform, including the Secretariat of the Portfolio Committee. Good morning. Chairperson, we are here today, and I'm sure you'd remember part of the visit to the Northwest I was part of, and it is a very good for us to be here today to give that particular report on what it is that is being done by CIFA or the department to be able to rectify the findings that we had with that particular visit. Chairperson, one of the things that we are very conscious of as is the fact that we are actually serving who are screening through the dregs of the barrel to be able to make it possible that they address the particular challenges that we said as a Department of Small Business we have been entrusted on by the National Development Plan and national government to be able to make sure that we deal with the challenges of poverty as well as the challenges of unemployment and inequality. Those of our people who are in the sponsor shops, those of our people who are in the informal sector, those who are the micro entrepreneurs, actually contributing to make it possible that the tallies or the statistics of unemployment goes down because they create jobs for themselves as a first point of entry and then create jobs for those who come and ask for jobs from them. So we believe that this is an important intervention that we need to support. And I'm also happy, Chairperson, that the intervention will be presented here in how the lessons that you exposed us to in the situation of Northwest is actually going to help us look at the policies and the application of the programs that we have set ourselves in the Department of Small Business. And I hope this is truly an intervention that will make our people to realize that we have seen our mistakes. We are going to, through CEDA and through CIFA, be able to rectify those. Chairperson, with these few words, I would want to allow the DG. I'm trying to read through the participants, but I don't see her name. If she's not there, the team of CIFA will be on the program, on the platform. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, DM. Thanks for the political overview. We believe in our learning and we are highly honored to have a team which really cooperate with us as the portfolio committee. We really appreciate that. DG, over to you. If the DG is not in, the leader from CIFA, the CEO will take us through. Thank you so much. Over to you, DG.
Good morning, Chairperson, and also good morning to the honorable members on the call, Deputy Minister, and my colleagues. Yes, indeed, I am here, Chairperson, accompanying CIFA to make the presentation as allowed by the Deputy Minister. And Chairperson, This presentation emanates from the oversight visit, like DM has said, of the Northwest, and the presentation will cover the issue of the spaza shop support programs, will also cover the intermediaries, the direct lending, the post-investment monitoring, strengthening governance, but most importantly, Chairperson, also the implementation timelines on what needs to be done as a way forward, or what is still need to be done, or what has already been done. Without any waste of time, I will then hand over the chairperson of SIFA if he's here. I know the presenter is the CFO. I mean, sorry, is the CFO, CEO Machamba. If the chairperson is here to introduce the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Over to you to introduce the matter. You are leading the delegation from SIFA. Thanks, DG. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chair and members. Thank you very much for this. I just got the link quite late, so I may have missed some of the introductory remarks that may be relevant. So I apologize in advance for that. And I would also like to apologize in advance that I may not have all the detail that you may require, given that I just joined the board as chair at the beginning of this month, in fact, on the 1st of September. But we did go through the issues internally, and today I am going to be deferring a little bit to the CEO to lead those discussions, except in matters where we may want the board to speak, either because the CEO was not involved or was somehow perceived to be conflicted. But for the rest, I think the CEO will be able to handle. And at this stage, I would like to call upon the CEO to take us through the matters, with your permission, Chair. And I'm not sure also, I was introduced to the committee last week, but just for completeness sake, and in case there were members who were not present, my name is Tembi Gosi Bonakele, and I'm the new chair of the SIFA board. And with me today is the CEO of SIFA, Mr. Machamba, whom I know you know very well. If I may now hand over to him, to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. CEO, over to you. The platform is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning to the Deputy Minister, the honorable members, the acting DG, the colleagues, and my chairperson from SIFA. And I'm here, Chair, at the SIFA boardroom together with the ExCom members, so that if there are certain questions that I may need to refer to the team, they are on hand to respond. Chairperson, I would like to request Braking to give me the powers to share the presentation. Braking, use Ngolisi Machamba or Ngolisi MD for the permission.
Okay, sorry, I saw the
Imbizo.
Imbizo, yes. So I'm trying to locate your name here.
It's there, Ngolisi MD.
It's just further down on my system.
Further down, okay.
Yes, okay. If you go down on that column.
There you are. Sorry. Sorry for that. Thank you.
Not yet, Braking.
Not yet.
Yes, okay. Eventually, sorted.
Yeah, okay.
And then yes. Thank you, members, and apologies once again for that delay. I will be taking the committee through an update to a presentation that we previously made to the committee post the oversight visit to the Northwest Province. And we will, Honorable Chair and members, be updating the committee on the steps taken to address some of the concerns that were raised by the committee since our last presentation to this House, and also share with the committee the timelines that we are setting for ourselves to address some of the areas that are not yet fully addressed. I won't bother the committee really with the presentation outline. Chair, just to refresh the memories of the members, the Portfolio Committee took a visit to the Northwest around the 28th to the 31st of March, 2023. And they identified during that visit the following areas of concern regarding our loan programs at CIFA. The first issue really in the main was the delays in the disbursement of the top-up amount to the spaza shop beneficiaries. And then the next one was around the interest rates that our intermediaries charge our end users. And the third issue was the verification of clients funded by CIFA intermediaries, in particular in telematch. Then the fourth one was the issue of capacity and also CIFA's inability to conduct what post-investment support to some of the clients that are funded by CIFA. The purpose of the presentation, therefore, Chair and all members, is to provide the committee on progress made in addressing the concerns raised by the committee and the measures that we've taken to strengthen governance in areas where there were identified weaknesses in our internal control processes. Just to give a quick background, Chair and members, on the work of CIFA and the impact of some of our programs. This covers the period 2019-2020 up to the Q1 of 23-24, which is the current financial year. If we look at the total disbursements that the organization has done for the period, it was around 7.9 billion. 3.2 billion of that money was disbursed through our direct lending program, which is about 40.5%, with 3.4 billion being disbursed through our wholesale lending division, which is 43%, and with 1.3 billion being disbursed through KCG, which is 16.4% of the total amount disbursed. When it comes to the number of SMEs financed, direct lending delivered 4,165 SMEs, which is 1.4%. And our wholesale lending program delivered 290,227 SMEs, which is 94.7%, with Kula Credit Guarantee delivering 11,926 SMEs, which gave us 3.9% of the total of 306,318 SMEs. When it comes to jobs facilitated, the total number of jobs facilitated over the period was 402,726, with 42,538 coming from direct lending, which is 10.6% of the total, and 335,537 coming from wholesale lending, which is 83.3%. and KCG giving us 24,651 jobs, which is 6.1% of the total. If members look closely at this picture, we'll realize that the key driver of our developmental impact in terms of SMMEs funded and jobs created, it is the wholesale lending product. And in the main, within that wholesale lending product, the microfinance is a key driver of those SMMEs and jobs. And the indirect lending channels, which is your wholesale lending and KCG, represent an effective impact of reaching more SMMEs and building financial inclusion, especially on the distribution of the microfinance loans, particularly to women who are based in rural towns of the country. Now, Chair, coming back to the findings of the portfolio committee, the first one, as I mentioned earlier on, it was relating to the spaza shop support program. Not all the sample clients had received the 7,000 top-up. Remember, members, the spaza shop support scheme was kept at 7,000, with 3,500 being a grant and 3,500 being a loan. The minister at the time, Minister Chaveni, then instructed that the cap would be increased to 10,500. This necessitated that those clients that received the first 3,500 needed to actually be given the balance of 7,000. This support program, I must remind the committee that it was a scheme that was set up post-COVID, really, to support the spaza shops that were affected by the COVID-19 lockdown, and to assist them really to actually stock their businesses. It is not a perpetual program that is funded over the MTF. Beyond this current financial year, there is no funding provided for this scheme from the Treasury. We used at the time, because of this lockdown, the partnership with the banks because of their footprint in our communities to disperse the funds. And we worked with Standard Bank and Nedbank. And they were doing this work, Chair, under what I would call a social investment, because they are not charging us a cent for the disbursement of these funds to these end users. The business process used at the time was that the department was approving the applications while CIFA and the banks were managing the disbursements. But this approach proved to create a bottleneck, and we later changed it to allow CIFA and the banks to process the applications. During the oversight visit nationally, 1,124 spazas beneficiaries had not yet received their additional top-up of 7,000 rands, as I said. All the new beneficiaries have now received their 7,000 top-up grant amount. We'd like also to put it on record, Chair, but that all the North West clients that were identified during the visit have received their 7,000, their additional 7,000 dispersed with supporting bank statements from from Nedbank, the bank that we're using, and also some of them have utilized the money, majority of them. And also the wholesalers that these spaza shop owners were procuring their stock were based on the footprint and presence across the country. And the cards that were issued by Nedbank were what we call closed loop cards. And these cards can only buy from these what we call selected wholesalers. They can't use it for KFC or Tops or anything else outside of the wholesalers and the items that they needed to buy for stocking up. The status now, Chair, as at the 30th of June this year, 6,654 spaza shops nationally received their grants to the value of 69 million. There are, however, Chairperson, 75 clients nationally who still have to receive the 7,000 top-up. These clients were serviced by Standard Bank, but Standard Bank has been struggling to really provide traction in this regard. Remember, there's also a lack of motivation for some of these banks to support this scheme because is done for free. What we've decided to do as an entity is to migrate those 75 clients from Standard Bank to NetBank, because NetBank is moving at a pace that actually is responsive to what we want to achieve. The clients now are being actually assisted by SIFA and NetBank. These ones who are migrating from Standard Bank to apply for the top-up. We will then chair at the end of this program, which we hope by Q3 of this financial year, the funds will be depleted, and we'll conduct an evaluation of the impact of this program to ascertain whether the impact was positive, number one, and also the need, if there is, for the program to continue beyond the post-COVID support that the original program was intended for. And we will engage chairperson, the relevant structures, the department and the treasury, once we've done that impact, because we still do believe that there is a need to assist our local South Africans in the spaza shop sector to compete with the groupings of, if I may say, foreign-owned spaza shops. But the impact study will assist us and strengthen our case in that regard. Chair, coming to the second issue of the interest rates that are charged by intermediaries, the concern raised was that the interest rate charged by intermediaries for sample clients is not in accordance with the NCA. It is also stated that it was beyond the required limit, thus increasing the cost of lending, i.e. 29% was charged to one client that was sampled in the Northwest. Chair, we would like to state that the SIFA-funded microfinance intermediaries operating in compliance with the National Credit Act, for starters, and we monitor that. They utilize group lending methodology, which some will call it the Grameen Bank methodology. They provide access to credit to plus or minus 400,000 enterprises, mainly rural-based women. For many borrowers, MFIs represent the only source of access to capital and a pathway out of poverty that enables them to build businesses and improve their livelihoods without having to depend on government grants. There is a delicate balancing act, however, that needs to be struck between the sustainability of these MFIs, but also ensuring that our end goal of providing affordable access to credit to the end users is achieved. The current status in this regard, Chairperson and members, that SIFA management met with the intermediaries to discuss, as we previously promised to this portfolio committee, ways to look at the cost of loans to the end users, the financial sustainability of the MFIs, and the refining SIFA's partnerships with these MFIs to achieve greater development impact. Following the meeting, Chair and members, with the intermediaries, SIFA is considering the following interventions to reduce the cost of lending to our end users, those rural women. One, the cost of SIFAs on lending to the intermediaries is one of the issues that we're discussing with them. Two, engaging the intermediaries on operational efficiencies to reduce their operational costs. And in return, we expect that the interest rate charge will be less through the shared services platform for the MFIs. We're also looking, thirdly, at a fintech lending platform for origination of loans by the intermediaries and informal and micro enterprises. As SIFA management, we will be presenting, Chair, to the board a proposal to reduce the cost of on lending to the end users, which was the main issue of concern from the portfolio committee, and also to expand the footprint of microfinance lending by Q3, because we view, Chair, that this is one of the most cost-effective from government side, actually, a system of providing access to lending for the end users. Remember that SIFA as an entity, we've got roughly about 300 employees. Our microfinance institutions, they employ more than 1,000 employees, because the nature of lending in microfinance doesn't just end in the provision of credit. There is extra work, Chair, that is being done by these micro lenders around educating these rural women about other life issues like HIV/AIDS and the women's rights and so on and so forth. And it actually demands, you cannot do that through a laptop. You do need to have the physical interaction, because there are what we call center meetings that are held regularly with these rural women to provide financial and other education assistance to them. And one of the areas that we're saying now going forward, we're investigating as CIFA is partnership with the corporates to provide some funding to these what we call end users through their social responsibility programs. Like Nedbank, they're absorbing this cost of printing these cards and providing this money through their social responsibility without charging us a cent. And we're saying we want to approach other corporates to provide a similar support. The next issue, Chair, was compliance with the NCA or /NCR by all RFIs and MFIs. The finding stated that some CIFA-funded clients are without a national credit regulator certificate, and the mention was made of de novo medical solutions and forward finance accelerate. Chair, we want to state that CIFA's credit policy that was approved in February 2022 makes provision that all our wholesale intermediary partners must comply with the NCR requirements. Prior to this, let me just hide this irritation, sorry, Chair, on my screen. Prior to this, Chair, the old CIFA credit policy did not require MFIs who were on lending above the 250,000 threshold set by the NCR. But the board gave an instruction that regardless of them borrowing above that 250K, let's just force all our intermediaries to have the NCR certificates. Therefore, de novo medical solutions as well as forward finance were onboarded and contracted under the old CIFA credit policy in September 2021 vis-a-vis the revised policy of February 2022. And therefore, the NCR registration was not yet mandatory at the time for transactions which fell outside of the 250,000 set by the NCA. Current status: after approval of CIFA credit policy in Feb 2022, all intermediaries that were onboarded thereafter are required to comply with the NCR as a condition of funding. For the ones that were signed before what we call the new, what we call February 2022 policy, remember, we cannot imply the law retrospectively. We have to now negotiate with them that the policy position of CIFA has changed. They have to comply with the NCR, and I must say, Chair, they are playing ball. They are willing to implement that change and comply with the new credit policy. Otherwise, they did not break any law, because at the time they were funded under the ruling credit policy at the time that allowed them actually not to register for the NCR as they were on lending above the threshold set by the NCA. And now this thing is frozen. Okay. The next item, Chair and members, related to non-compliance to CIFA policies and mandate. The finding stated that some of CIFA-funded intermediaries do not conform to CIFA policy and mandate of supporting SMMEs and are inadequately monitored. Case in point was Ezemali Africa. We would like to state, Chairperson, that CIFA credit policy makes provision for all applications to be accompanied by at least the most recent 2 years of audited financial statements, which consist of a statement of comprehensive income, a statement of financial position, and a cash flow statement. This is a prerequisite in the case, Chair, where the applicant's company has been in existence for that period or more. However, for companies that have been in existence for less than 2 years, the most recent year-end financial statements or any other available financial information approved by their directors must be used as per section 17.2.3 of the CIFA credit policy. For existing institutions applying for asset or project finance or installment sale agreements or bridging finance types of applications, historical and projected financials shall be required. However, for startup businesses, at least 3 years of projected financials shall be required. The applicant's cash flow projections must be presented and analyzed to provide evidence of their strength and ability to support the proposed transaction and their ability to meet future financial obligations. SMRLE is an asset funding company providing equipment financing to small businesses. The entity was registered in 2019 as a joint venture between Kutana Pty and Sizwe Asset Finance, and hence the NCA registration being recent in respect of the CIFA law. As the Mali credit application was assessed in terms of the provisions of a startup intermediary stated above. In implementing their first facility, however, as a Mali, they funded some entities outside the structure and scope of the CIFA mandate, like schools directly. In this instance, Chair, SMRLE was supposed to have funded an intermediary middleman to buy the equipment, like your printers and computers, and then resell them to the schools. But they made an error by just providing this equipment directly to the schools without doing it via an intermediary, what called a middleman or an SMME, because schools are not considered as SMMEs. It should be noted that SMRLE facilitated access to equipment finance to customers that under normal circumstances will not get credit via commercial institutions. However, this should be done via SMMEs and not directly, as I said earlier. All intermediaries report to CIFA on a quarterly basis on their funding activities via the CIFA intermediary portal. And CIFA now conducts quarterly site visits to intermediaries to verify authenticity of reported information. The current status, Chair, is that we summoned SMRLE to head office CIFA, and it was stated to them that they cannot provide directly funding to such institutions like schools and municipalities and any other government entity without going through an SMME. And we indicated to them that this constitutes a breach. And we told them that in future, if that or such happens, we will look at terminating the loan. And we believe that they fully understand and committed to comply with the process that needs to be followed to fund these other entities that are not SMEs. The issue now that pertains to BEE compliance by RFIs and MFIs, the finding stated that CIFA does not impose transformation and triple BEE standards on the RFIs and MFIs that it partners with. The majority of them are white-owned. Chair, CIFA credit policy, which I mentioned, that was approved in February 2022, makes provision that preference, and the operative word here, Chair, is preference, will be given to wholesale intermediary partners that have black ownership of 51% or more. However, Chair, I would like us not to ignore the fact that the financial services sector charter code requires 25% of black ownership. But we went beyond that. On CIFA's database, the MFIs and RFIs, only 5, not a majority, only 5 MFIs had black ownership that was below 51% were required. These MFIs were onboarded before the revised credit policies I said, and they are Finrock, which was approved in June 2021, a US Plus Limited, which was approved in January 2021, and One Bio Pty approved in December 2019, Stock and Strauss General Partners approved in November 2020, and Lona Group that was approved in November 2019. All these 5 intermediaries that were picked up were approved prior to the approved or revised credit policy that necessitated that 1% preference. What are we doing about this now? we are engaging with the intermediaries to align rather with this requirement as a requirement for our funding and the credit policy. And we are getting, Chair, a positive feedback, but it's going to be a process of negotiations because, as I said earlier, they did not breach any of our policy conditions. At the time of approval, that requirement was not there. Now it is there. We're saying, let us engage. Let us make sure that we comply with the new preference of 51 plus B ownership. Chair, my screen freezes. Okay. Then coming to the controversial one of Kings and Queens Hat and Intelligent Financial Services, Chair. I spent a bit of time here. The finding was that failure to verify the existence of Kings and Queens, a client that was funded by Intelligent Financial Services, against which directors has the criminal complaint been laid. We filed a criminal complaint against the directors of the two companies. CIFA to confirm the existence of these companies, CIFA to provide details on the due diligence performed on the onboarding of these IFS, Intelligent Financial Services. CIFA approved a business loan, Chair, to just give a background to this, of 30 million to Intelligent Financial Services on the 15th of December 2020. The loan was secured by a guarantee from Tautona Holdings, a holding company of Intelligent Financial Services. The funding was to be used to fund SMEs in the manufacturing sector for startups and established businesses. An amount of 20 million was disbursed on the 27th of August 2021, and a further 10 million was disbursed on the 16th of March 2020. Therefore, the whole facility of 30 million was fully disbursed. The visit by the portfolio committee revealed the inaccuracies. There's a screen that keeps on popping up on my screen side. The visit by the portfolio committee revealed the inaccuracies with regard to reported information by Intelligent Financial Services, CIFA, via its quarterly reports on funded clients, i.e., the existence and verification of their funded clients, Kings and Queens. CIFA further uncovered post the visit alleged irregularities or financial misconduct in the reporting and application of CIFA's wholesale funding by Intellimet. Prior to the Northwest visit, Intellimet was already in breach of the loan agreement, i.e. default on loan repayments. On the 16th of March 2023, CIFA commenced legal proceedings to recover the whole amount of 30 million against Intellimet. Chair, this is one grand scheme that was properly planned by applicant, because through our further investigations post this visit, we established that all the clients that were purportedly funded by Intellimet were ghost clients. He was moving the money to these ghost companies to refinance his construction company. And it is one scheme that really also, I must submit, our post-investment failed us to some extent because they should have picked up when they were doing their post-investment reviews. The status, Chairperson, is therefore the following. In May 2023, CIFA appointed Ernst & Young to perform a forensic investigation on the funding activities of Intellimet. And Ernst & Young was reporting, Chairperson, direct to the audit committee and not EXCO, because we wanted to give transparency in case some of our members were implicated. The view of the board was that this report must go straight to the audit committee, and it was handled as such. Ernst & Young issued a preliminary report, and this is under consideration by CIFA Audit Committee. And in fact, I must state that the Audit Committee did give its feedback and inputs to Ernst & Young. The final report, they said initially will be finally issued by the end of September. They came back to us yesterday asking for additional information, which we gave to them. And they have now promised that they will give us the report by the end of this week. Based on the preliminary report, CIFA has proactively prepared an affidavit in support of the opening of a criminal case against the directors of Intellimet. And the police said we must come back with a final report so that they can proceed with their investigation. Further to that, we've put an application for money judgment or debt recovery, and the court date is set down on the unopposed roll for the 2nd of February 2024, chairperson and members. Screen frozen again. Let me see. Chair, with regards to the Intellimet report, then I must commit that it will be tabled to the committee before the end of this month, because the information we got from them is that by yesterday, with the ones after we gave them all the other additional information, they by the end of this week. Coming to the issue of Mahikeng meat market, Chair, let me step back a bit. I forgot to mention this. Since the start of this investigation, we've suspended about 5 of our employees who were involved in this deal from origination up to your post-investment work. And based on the report, Chair, we will follow the labor relations issue for employees who may be implicated or who may be found to have been negligent in the execution of their work. And once this final report is presented, we want to speed up that process, because now these employees have been in suspension for close to 4 months, if not 5. So whilst we're dealing with the legal issues in court, the recovery of the money and suing of Intellimet directors, we're also dealing with the issues of human capital and human resources and distribution. But the basis of that work will be informed by the report that NSN. Now moving on, Chair, to the Mahikeng meat market. The finding was that CIFA should have known that the hazard analysis critical controls points certificate was required before funding this company, and the CIFA to provide the due diligence conducted to finance M. Chair, at the time of the approval of the loan to Mahikeng meat market, the condition of that approval was clear, that it is subject to Mahikeng meat market getting the HCAP certificate. However, the client came back requesting that in order for him to be audited for compliance with the hazard analysis critical controls points, the equipment has to be on site. We therefore, as CIFA, reviewed our decision and said, okay, procure the equipment so that the auditors can come and verify your compliance with this requirement. This, yes, Chair, we admit the absence of this certificate limited, the client is trading, but it limited their trading with big retailers, because big retailers will not buy from him in the absence of this certificate. We then requested CEDA, the status now, to appoint a service provider to do the audit for this client. And the first audit was completed in July this year. And now CEDA is appointing a second, another service provider to do the final audit, which should be done by the end of this month. And upon completion, Chair, of this audit, we've taken a position as CIFA that says we appreciate the limitations that the client faced with regards to trading with bigger tenants or bigger clients or customers. We will then relook and restructure the debt so that we give them more time to generate enough revenues and be able to service the loan. Looking at the other finding of active task, where the concern was raised about the location of an industrial printer that was funded by CIFA, which was not at the original location or address provided by the client. The printing machine, Chair and member, was to Umphakathi Mall in Randfontein due to lack of space in the original shop number 13, Shoprite complex at Roy Kopis in Marikana. The relocation of the machine was part of the client's expansion plan. This machine was funded through a loan facility of 105,000 to purchase the printer by SIFA. The current status of the client is that the machine is there, it's operating, and the client is servicing their loan well. And the repayments are up to date. And this one, there's really no issue. Looking at the next item, which is the finding around the post-investment, the PC struggled to locate some of SIFA's funded clients to be visited. Also indicated that SIFA is not fully utilizing SIDA officials, despite SIDA's presence across all provinces. Chair, let me state that the post-investment function of SIFA is one of the functions that is seriously challenged with regards to capacity. And it has a historical challenge because throughout the measures that were taking place at SIFA, when everybody has been located in the relevant divisions, what the previous leadership would do is say all those who cannot be deployed anywhere, they were put under PIM, which was a grievous mistake because post-investment is critical to monitor the movement, the performance, and the payments of your loans by your clients. And you need people with skill there who can never be actually blinded by the clients because our clients are quite smart when they want to defraud us. And now, pending the merger and the resultant directive to freeze long-term recruitment, it has actually prolonged the capacity challenge of SIFA, particularly in post-investment. But recently, we're seeing challenges because we've lost a lot of our people to the banks in the credit division and the loan origination. These are your chartered accountants and your quantitative analysts that you don't just find in the streets. The SIFA post-investment business process requires that all funded clients must be visited. In the case of direct lending, within 30 days from disbursement of funds and wholesale at least minimum of once per year. Intermediary partners are required to report quarterly on their funded clients and the utilization of SIFA funds. SIFA's external auditors also use this information to audit this database annually. What are we doing with this, Chair? In the context of the capacity and the limitations to recruit, we are looking at working with SIDA now to collaborate on some of these issues. Even SIDA's footprint and the number of employees that they have, because they are probably 3 times the size of SIFA in terms of human warm bodies. The plan also, Chair, is to utilize the graduates that are going to be recruited by SIDA to assist us, Chair, in the post-investment process. But because these are young people who have not been exposed in this business, they still need an experienced manager, one to train them, two to monitor them and provide support. But in the current environment, it's one of the options that we need to do. And we believe, Chair, that these graduates will deliver better results than taking any SIDA employee who is not exposed to the workings of lending and the management of post-investment. Because we want to train these kids so that they are able at least to go and monitor the less complex deals like trap, spaza shops, and so on. Furthermore, we are now using for the complex deals our mentors to go and verify these clients. Mentors are quite expensive, and we believe the use of these graduates will come much more cheaper, but you cannot use these new entrants in the job market and the lending space for the complex deals. We will still, in the absence of a sophisticated post-investment team members in SIFA, we will then be forced to pay the price of using this until we go past the merger. These intervention members will assist and address human resources capacity constraints faced by the organization, as I said, as a result of the pandemic. Also, investigations are underway with regard to increased automation of the post-investment function. We want to drive aggressively, Chair, the issue of automation, but you can never take away the element of human interface, where you have to go and physically verify the existence of some of these clients. These are interventions that will be put in place under the current limitation. Now, looking at strengthening governance from the lessons learned from all these gaps, Chair, that have been identified, because every instance that we pick up that CFA has been defrauded or robbed, we learn from those instances. And from the learnings of those instances, we then put these processes in place to prevent the recurrence of such. Looking at the strengthening of loan origination, the intervention that we're putting in place is to enhance loan due diligence business processes and further develop the due diligence guidelines. I'm running out of English data now. And also, we're looking at increasing investment in human resources skills through continued professional education and attracting skilled people. As I mentioned, we need in our deal making and credit and post-investment more chartered accountants. We need more lawyers with experience in deal making. We need more quantitative analysts actually to be part of the team. And you can only do that if we go beyond the merger, because you can't take a quant analyst from Standard Bank and tell them that you're going to employ for 12 months and they must leave them. It's going to work. The same applies to lawyers and CAs. Hence, we've been losing these specialists to the banks. Monitoring of intermediary performance. The interventions, the intermediaries report to CIFA on a quarterly basis via CIFA's, gosh, this thing is becoming, sorry, Chair, I just want to move. There's a pop-up that keeps on coming up and it blinds my screen. They will be reporting what we call the performance via the CIFA intermediary portal, which will be now monitored by the team that will be building the team space. All disbursements to intermediaries to be verified through a confirmed pipeline with adherence to agreed loan covenants. We're now forcing our intermediaries that we will now visit and have sight of these of their underlying clients, because in the past our agreements with them limited that to that extent. Now we are stating clearly that it is a must that we shall visit the underlying clients to confirm the existence of those clients and their authenticity, to deal with the challenge really that the Intelmatch actually posed for us by funding those clients. Intermediaries to provide or upload information of funded clients to CIFA as part of security of debtors loan covenant, and the post-investment business process procedure to be implemented for all intermediaries, i.e. quarterly assessments of the portfolio, followed by physical verification of funded clients, as I stated. Thirdly, monitoring of interest rate charge to end users. The intermediaries to submit their quarterly reports to the National Credit Regulator and any matter flagged by the regulator with regards to their lending practices. Intermediaries to submit to CIFA a list of interest rates charged as part of their quarterly reports, the interest rates that they charge our end users. And we believe, Chair, with the proposal that we'll be taking to the board, we'll be coming up with a fantastic offering for our end users by containing the interest rates that our intermediaries charge, but at the same time without killing their sustainability. Now, Chair, looking quickly and as I conclude to implementation timelines. For the Spaza Shop Support Program, the disbursements of the outstanding grants will be done by Q3 of this year for the balance that we have. And for those 75 clients that were actually in Standard Bank that we migrated to NetBank, then we will, at the end of that, do the process of impact evaluation and make recommendations on whether we need to continue with the program and how do we continue with this program, and also engage the Treasury for the funding of that program. When it comes to the cost of lending, interest rate charged by the intermediaries, the proposal will be tabled to the board in Q3. That we're saying we are finalizing as executive to see how we reduce the cost of lending to our end users. Then that proposal, Chair, will be implemented beginning of Q4 this financial year. And the impact assessment will be done in Q4 of next year. The development and implementation of a fintech program that we say we're developing, that development will start in Q3. And the concept document has already been done. In telematch, the controversial one, the report really should be done, as I said, Chair, by the end of this month, and processed and shared with the portfolio committee. Then we've started, Chair. Remember in my report earlier, I indicated that we've already the criminal case against Intellimate. We've already started the case of recovery with a court date that is set February next year. And also further recommendations will be implemented with immediate effect, including legal steps to recover the funds. Because our view, Chair, is that after all is said and done, we need to recover that 30 million from those directors, even if we have to sell their dogs and cats in their houses. And then we'll look at the internal issues of labor relations, where the report states if there are any of our employees who were implicated. That work is ongoing. We're not waiting for the final report. On post-investment monitoring, automation of key business processes, that's the work that we're starting in Q3. And the collaboration with CEDA will actually strengthen that work in Q3. But our priority is to get those graduates in the financial services sector, so that if they are really skilled, they are quicker to learn and faster to train. And we don't want people who are old like me, over 50, because we're tired. So we want these young ones that we're going to use our post-investment and train them well. And our view, Chair, is that these are kids who stand a better chance to be absorbed in the new entity, because they would have learned our work during the process. And with the skills that they have, they should be easy to absorb. When it comes to strengthening governance, we are actually already enhancing loan origination due diligence. But the skills is going to be a critical element, because you need somebody with a sharp mind and brain to be able to do that work, and skills are critical in that regard. And the monitoring of intermediaries is work that is ongoing. We're going to actually strengthen it with this capacity that we're building that I referred to. And also, as I stated earlier on, monitoring of interest rate charges by intermediaries. They will be reporting to us quarterly all their clients that are funded and the interest rate that they've charged to those clients, and to ensure that there's compliance. And the last annexure really has to provide evidence to the committee that a majority of our intermediaries are indeed Black-owned, and only 5 of them, not most of them. It's 5 out of this long list, and we will be actually for that they comply with that requirement. Chair, with that said, I'd like to table a report and ask the committee to note it. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Honorable members, here we are. I will invite hands for comments. Braking will assist me to identify hands. Just forgot.
Please note my hand, Chair.
The first one, it's I know the Mr. Mabiga, Honorable Mabiga. We can start with him, Chairperson, because other members, I think, they're still.
Okay, Honorable Mabiga.
Mabiga.
Honorable Mabiga.
Yes.
Or not Mabinga.
No.
Honorable, the stage is yours. You may ask your question or comment. Honorable, can you hear me? Honorable Mabika?
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes, Papa.
Hello.
I'm saying you can ask your question or your comment.
Oh, okay. Ngiyabonga kakhulu Hlala. Asibonga kakhulu i-plan. But I just want to check maybe my first question will just be a silly one, to check that you have made a clear plan about what you intend doing about kings and queens, because the committee went there and discovered the discrepancies. As we were told that those people were last seen a year ago. Fine. Then, if I were to ask, we only went to kings and queens and discovered that it was in the Northwest. If I can ask you, how many of the kings and queens do we have in South Africa? What would be your answer? Because I don't think that we are dealing with these kings and queens now because the committee went there as if it's the only one. What has the department done to ensure that we deal with all others that are there? Maybe we have got such in KZN, in Limpopo, and anywhere else that the committee has not gone and discovered that there is such. Because dealing with this one only will not solve the problem of others that are doing the same. Number two, I don't know whether you will be remember that when the committee went to a client called Funeko by Enable Capital. It's an intermediary as well. We had a report that it had been it was borrowed an amount of 2.1 million rand. But when we got there, the client, I think the name is Yako, told the committee that they only received 1.5 million. And then there was a question as to why would then the intermediary say they've lended 2.1 million, and to the client received less amount of what is said to have been given. I'm also not sure if the issue of with CFAD monitoring it's not there. Now, the plan intends to recover the amount of money that may have gone missing. But it's not that very clear, Chairperson, as to how the department intends to deal now with the officials or employees who may have been involved in a way of giving the money and not ensuring or not following up, because when you borrow, we know that people should start servicing their loans. But when you just give the money and let it go for a long time, no follow up, you don't know whether the business does exist or does not exist. But there are people who are employed to deal with such. And it's not very clear as to whether there is a plan or what we call a consequence management kind of a situation to deal with those who may have also been or have neglected their duties, if I may put it that way, Chairperson. I don't know, Chair, maybe I missed it. There is a client that was said that was not found, that was said to have gone to Mozambique or something. I'm not sure whether I missed that one also, because we would have loved to hear as to why would the department arrange with a client to say the committee is coming, and when the committee arrives and is coming after having been given the money, the government money, a person will opt or decides to take to not wait and meet with the committee. It is the same thing with the Nyami berries. There is an expenditure there of about 53 million, if I'm not mistaken. We did not find the owner there, and reasons were not clear as to why the owner wasn't there, because it gives questions as to we wouldn't know whether we were taken to the correct farm or we got lost, we went to another farm if the owner couldn't be there. Yeah, let me stop there, Chairperson Yabo.
Thank you, Honorable Mabika. Do we have any other hands, Braking?
Yes, Chairperson, there's a hand of Honorable April and Honorable Machulelwa.
These are the only two hands for now.
So far, yeah.
Honorable April, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to the department, the CEOs, everyone that is in the platform. I would like to apologize that I cannot open my screen due to the load shedding that we're experiencing, and I'm just worried that you may miss me at some point. Chairperson, I take note of the report. I welcome the report that it has been submitted by the department. It shows that indeed, since the time that we've gone to the Northwest, that some things has happened. To say that I'm happy with the report is not correct. I am not happy with the fact that there is still some of the most vulnerable in society who has yet not received the discrepancy of the money that they were. I'm speaking specifically about those ones that were helped during the tuck shops thing, that received that didn't know about 10,000 and you got just 3,000 something. It is worrisome to hear that at this stage that these people still has not received the money that is due to them. And this money has been reported, and I think we have even changed financial years and people are still not having that money. It is really also, I want to piggyback on what my colleague, the previous speaker, said, Honorable Bika, to how many others are there that we have not discovered? It brings a bit of unease when we look at how well are we managing the affairs of state money that is supposed to reach the poor, the vulnerable, those that want to do business, that want to create jobs. The backbone of our economy is vested and resting on how many small businesses we can create. Because I can tell you now that I am of the view that a forensic investigation should be done to see that those that are implicated in the current kings and queens and in the current issues that is raised, how many forensic investigation into all the companies that they worked with or for or proved, and see if those companies really does exist, or was there possibly a Ponzi ran inside of the department with people who collaborated to intentfully defraud the state. It cannot be correct that we are silent about that, or just issue suspension notices and let them be and fire them maybe at the end of the day. There is many small businesses that depend on these budgets that we vote for and make available for small businesses. Chairperson, I must also say that I am, however, delighted that I hear that there are people who are facing the brunt and the consequences. One would want to see not people just lose their jobs. We would want to have a cohort of people who works for the department and for our entities who knows that the plight of our people really rests upon their hands to implement the things that we the things that we have said to them, that we have promised them in terms of growth, in terms of funding, and so on and so forth. Chairperson, I recently visited KwaZulu-Natal, and I have been made aware of a small business who has applied to CEDA for assistance. And the person has indicated that there was not even a response letter coming from CEDA for the application that they have made. Those kind of things is disheartening when we look at the plight of our people. And this was a young person who wanted to do a butchery. Chairperson, one would want to say to the department that thanks for trying to sweep. I think you need to get a bigger vacuum cleaner into sweeping in the department, CEO, and see what we can do better in order to speed up the services. But the report is noted, and thank you that you are doing something about the concerns that we have raised. To say I'm happy about the report, no, I'm not. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Matulelo. Honorable Matulelo, are you able to speak? It's your time now. Maybe she has got problem with network. Do we have any other hands, Braking?
I think she has been kicked out by this network. Yes, we've got Honorable Jacobs.
Okay. Honorable Jacobs, can you come in, please?
Again, greetings, Chair and Deputy Minister and colleagues on the platform. CEO and Chair of CEFA, Acting DG. I think we've listened to the report, and I share the sentiments of my fellow members of Parliament. You know, it was our first, after the July KZN riots, it was our first trip as as this portfolio committee, and part of our job as oversight was that we spending 3-4 days in Northwest. Northwest was identified because it's rural. Northwest was identified because there was no previous parliamentary visit, oversight visit there. And I think we did quite a good job in informing the department and also the entities that we're coming. And we try to cover both the informal sector, the spaza shops, and different range, women, youth cooperatives. And we've seen some good things. I must acknowledge that one cooperative that was really good was the Orange Cooperative. I think that was, one of the last ones that we saw. So all is not doom and gloom, but I think we must emphasize where things are wrong. So this oversight visit clearly indicated that there were systemic problems, and clearly there was people doing wrong things. Greed and corruption was evident, and collusion between state actors and the private sector was evident. I think we appreciate the controls and the measures put in place by our executive and the officials. We welcome that. We also welcome the report that Ernst & Young will give to us. And please, CEO, please get that to us again, so that we, as the oversight, can get that independent report. I think the one thing I want to start with is the spaza shop and the informal traders. We went to a rural village, I think it was like 40, 50 Ks outside, what's the big town in Northwest? And we went to the stock shop, and people were selling basic goods. And Mafeking. Yeah, so we went to a rural township, I think outside Mafeking, about 30 Ks outside Mafeking. And I was impressed with the entrepreneurial spirit. There was a youngster standing in the shop, and he's running his mom's stock shop. And he complained he was one of those, I think it was 1,124 beneficiaries that didn't get the additional 7,000 Rand. So I think government said they were giving 10,000 Rand, and they only got, I think, 3,000, and they had to travel long distance to one place and take many taxis. So sometimes we implement policies, but we don't have the implementation capacity, or we don't have the operational mechanism to ensure that this gets implemented. So I think it was a good policy decision to say, let's give spaza shops 10,000 Rand and let them help with getting a cash and carry and help them with trade. You don't give people cash more, because that's also a problem. So the policy intent was really good. But CEO, now you say there's only 75 outstanding and it's not from KZN. You said to us that all of the KZN spaza shops got their money eventually. Now, I think there's lessons there. You know, if 1,124 beneficiaries did not get their additional 7,000 Rand, that amounts to almost 7.8 million Rand. How is it that as management, we didn't pick that up, and it hasn't been disbursed to the relevant client for a whole period? So there's a leadership and management problem there. How didn't we pick that up? Why didn't we pick that up? Now we've made corrections, but where's the consequence management for the inconvenience, for the problems that we caused there? And have we learned from the spaza development scheme now? I mean, spaza scheme is a flagship project of this department in the township and the rural, where we're saying we don't want foreign nationals only to own our townships. We want South Africans to be part of it. And there is an allocation that gets it. Is it working now? Can we get confidence around that? So the question, I think I'm in a roundabout way saying that, is there consequence management for that failure also? Now that we've cleaned it up, it does indicate that we need to become a more caring, consistent government. Chair, also I picked up Izimali Afrikaans disbursed funds from a Department of Home Affairs email address. The beneficiary was Stephen Telet at dha.gov.za. How is it possible that SIFA could lend funds to Izimali as a government official? Where did that, how did that fall through the cracks? And what is the consequence management of that? You know, sometimes I feel that we're only reactive. We only deal with greed and corruption when we get caught. We only deal with greed and corruption when it's there glaring. But there's not a systemic way to say, okay, who is the management of SIFA and CEDA and the department in that area? Where does accountability stop? Why is it that it seems that if you want a loan or money from government, the system is failing our people, you need to pay a bribe? It seems that way. And I think for us, we want to, as this members, Chair, one of the recommendations out of this is that we as a portfolio committee must at least go quarterly down, even if it means virtually. But I mean, we haven't experienced this. So last week we received the performance report of the department, and we saw some clear under expenditure and some good work. But Chair, I think there needs to be a greater oversight and a greater enhancement on the capacity of us to do this oversight. I think, Chair, I think we've raised a lot of issues. We want to acknowledge where they are, but we're also saying to executive, the deputy minister, I think the team must go back. We need to look at how do we deal with these systemic issues. We want to get our people off the welfare system. More than 18 million South Africans is on the welfare system. And we want to create an entrepreneurial society where people want a hand up, not just handouts. We want South Africans to work. We want us to create jobs. But we need a caring and responsive government and a system that can allow that to happen, so that we don't become so dependent on the welfare system and we take our lives in our two hands. And this department and this small business is in partnership with big business and private sector must do that. But we can only do that if we have a committed officials that does what they do, they're capacitated, and they have and also we deal with the scourge of corruption and greed that is engulfing us. Chair, let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Jacobs. Do we have any other hands? Brakim?
No, Chairperson.
If there are no any other hands, I would like the department to respond on the remarks, comments, and questions. Over to you, DG, and your team, CEO, and then I would like the DM to wrap up, and then I will give the closing remarks. Thank you.
Chair,
Okay.
oh, DG, you may go first, DG. I'll come in.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you very much for the questions. We have noted also the questions from the department that have to do with issue of oversight, and we will attend to them accordingly. And this is something that we need to strengthen, that I was also talking about at a special EXCO meeting yesterday, the unit called entity oversight. Then, but I will ask the CEO to respond directly, because there are direct questions that have been posed that the CEO must respond to.
Thank you, DG. CEO?
Thank you, Chair, and I must thank the honorable members for the constructive inputs. And I'll try to respond to some. But Chair, I must also highlight upfront that some of the questions raised were addressed in detail in a report that was sent, I think, around the 12th of May to the Portfolio Committee, where we responded blow by blow to each and every one of those issues, particularly the ones that are or were raised by Honorable Mandlengosi Mabika. I'm just looking at that report now, and that detail is there. I think what we may wish to do, Chair, also is to reshare that report with the Portfolio Committee, because it's all those things are there. They were answered. But dealing with some of the issues raised by Honorable Mabika, what plan do you have to deal with King? As part of the legal proceedings that we're pursuing, we are wrapping all these people together with IntelliMatch because we believe that there was clear collusion between directors of IntelliMatch and the owners of these ghost companies. There's no way that they can plead ignorance that their names were used without their knowledge, particularly the lady who owns supposedly the kings and queens. She was called by the board together with the kings and queens, the IntelliMatch director. She confirmed in a virtual meeting that was held with the board of CIFA that yes, indeed, she received the money from IntelliMatch. So in our legal proceedings, we are binding them all together.
Who is doing this thing?
DG mute. So to answer you, honorable member, all these people, we've got the names of the directors. We are lumping them up together, and we our plan is to take all of them to the cleaners jointly with the directors of IntelliMatch. The question of how widespread is this issue? As I said, Chair, immediately after this lesson that we learned from the IntelliMatch debacle, that's why we hired the mentors to go out there and verify what we call the existence of all our wholesale funded clients. It's a work in progress, and we as we said, for the less complicated or complex deals like the spaza shops and others, we are going to use these graduates that we're going to be employing with CEDA. But we are not sitting here saying we'll wait for that to happen. We have already started verifying, and we said to the executive of wholesale lending and PIM that let's actually prioritize our top guns there to ensure that all the big loans out there have gone to genuine and existing what we call clients. So that work is ongoing, Chair. We're trying to do it with the most cost-effective way. And so far, as I said, we can't employ anymore. There's just no capacity in PIM. And also with the suspensions, the capacity has also been actually depleted. But you can't throw your hands in the air and say, I'll wait for the measure. No. Hence, we came up with this creative idea that use the mentors, because mentors also understand this business to assist in that regard. And they're already out there doing that verification right across the country. And then once these graduates come in, we will also utilize them. But with the current funding now, there is no deal that we approve, Chair, without a site visit that is accompanied by pictures. Well, we want right from the port of entry where the funding application happens. That verification must happen as part of the due diligence, and then post-investment monitoring then must take care of that going forward. Also, Chair, I think one of the things that exposed CPAC is during COVID, when there were lockdowns and people could not do site visits. That really exposed the organization during that period. But now we say there's no more what to call lockdown now. People must go and do site visits, part of the due diligence process before any deal comes to the credit committee. So those are some of the interventions that we've immediately put in place to put an end to that exposure. The issue of the Mfuneko client It's in the report, Chair. It's on page 10, item 2.7, that we submitted to the committee, and it is clearly articulated that what transpired there and the action that we took. The employees involved, what plan do we have? We're saying, Chair, once this report is out, one of the things that we need to do with the directors of Intellimatch and their fake entities, it was easy to gun for them because we had the information, there was clear fraud, hence we were able to immediately start legal proceedings. But when it comes to employees, we need that report of what we call Ernst & Young to see who was negligent, if there was a potential for collusion from some of our employees, then the labor relations processes will follow. So the audit committee has handed over the draft report to me, said, let us start thinking about initiating the labor relations action against those that may be implicated in this regard. So that work, Chair, has started, and we will be dealing with those that were implicated, or whether it's negligence or collusion. The issue really around the delays, particularly those grants that were sitting in Standard Bank, is one area, Chair, that we looking closely together with the team, really. And yes, we have to take action where there was a sleeping on the job, because it's been some time now since those monies were sitting there, but we worked through the banks, and these banks, they will tell you that we are not going to move in dispersing this money until 1, 2, 3, 4 has happened. And we've been fighting a lot with the Net Bank, but they are moving now. Standard Bank has just been not playing ball. Hence, we said, let's terminate the relationship, move the money to Net Bank, because Net Bank seems to be willing to execute this exercise with the speed. And hence we said, Chair, we're committing that by end of Q3, the money will be dispersed and there will be no further funding available. The issue of the Intellimatch, I've spoken, Honorable April, around the issue of similar instances as the Intellimatch in other areas. Hence, we put that work that we're doing to verify all the clients of the intermediaries using for now the mentors and some of our employees where there's capacity. Looking at the further forensic investigation for employees who may be implicated, I think the Honorable April is spot on. Once we get this report and where there's clear suspicion of colluding or collusion by some of our employees, it forces actually to look further and go back at all the deals that they ever processed to see whether there is a similar pattern, and then we will take the process from there. Yes, I spoke, Honorable Jacobs, on the issue of dealing with the potential collusion from the side of our employees. We'll be acting as soon as we get this report. And then I do commit that as soon as the report is released by Ernst & Young, we will forward it to the portfolio committee, because I don't want to prejudge them, but they will have no reason really not to finish this report this week, because we've been giving them extension after extension, and they should be able now to give us the report. Chair will investigate the issue of I don't know whether Honorable Jacobs is a client of Ezemali or is an employee of Ezemali who has a Department of Foreign Affairs email address. We'll investigate that to establish, because we're clear around providing funding to what we call to government employees, and they will investigate that one to establish who exactly is that. Was it a client of Ezemali, and what was their relationship with the whatever funding that Ezemali would have extended to that particular client. But Chair, I in a nutshell, really, I would like to thank the committee for allowing us the opportunity to come and update the committee on the interventions that we've put in place, basing those from the lessons learned from all the gaps that were identified during the oversight visit to the Northwest. And also one of the key issues, if I may wear my old audit hat, that to do when there's a system failure or process failure, we want to establish the root cause of that. And part of this work that we're doing and the lessons learned from this is to, we're trying to establish what was the root cause of some of this. Yes, I understand the period of COVID-19 where site visits could not be done. Now we've gone past that. How do we then put processes and systems in place to prevent the recurrence of that, having learned from this? But also the fundamental issue is capacity. And it's one of the root causes really of some of these. Do need capacity to do this work because you need those people on the ground to go and verify these clients. You do need skilled people to do proper due diligence right at the port of entry of the application. You do need the people with skills to do the post-investment work. So as we address the symptoms, we want to also address the root causes of the problems and the work that we're doing together with the board. Thank you, Chair. I'll pause here.
Thank you, CEO. Before DM, I just want to check with honorable members whether you still have to have a second bite, but I believe the report of the 12th May will assist us. Those responses, they can be reshared with the committee. And again, we're still going to look at the report as the portfolio committee, and then we'll revert back to the department if we feel there are any other issues which would like them to address. So other than that, I will request the DM. I'll request the DM to make any input in response to what the members has highlighted. Is then that I will give my closing remarks. Over to you, DM.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Please allow me to keep my video off. But Chairperson, I think on the platform there is a chairperson of the board of FIFA. I don't know whether you can allow him to have, as the accounting authority, the some 1 or 2 sentences to reply to the members of the committee. With your indulgence, Chair.
No problem, DM. You are here with your team to assist you. I don't have any problem. You may have a bite. Thank you.
Chairperson, are you still on the platform?
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, DM, also for creating that opportunity. Maybe it's also important to inform the committee that we have new members of the board who have just been appointed around the same time that I was. So there's about 4 of us who are new, and we've just had our first meeting with our colleagues who are the incumbents in the board. And one of the things that we have done was to go through this report, and I just want to highlight maybe 1 or 2 issues that do arise. And I also had an opportunity to go to an outreach program with the minister last week. There is also one issue that has arisen there, which has also been raised here, and that is the speed at which we run our processes and our responsiveness to applicants. So I've noted the question from Honorable Member April about somebody who applied and seemingly did not receive a response from us. This is the issue that the minister herself in that outreach had noted coming from some of the participants. So quite clearly, we do have a challenge there that we need to sort out. That if our key constituents that we serve, such as the potential applicants who are SMMEs and micro enterprises, experience us in this manner, quite clearly we need to check up our systems. And so we will be working closely with management to improve on that. And I commit that this is something that, because it's a service delivery point, that we would be paying close attention to. And we do like the feedback from yourselves as public representatives, as well as members of the public in BIZOS and other outreach programs. Obviously, something that does concern us as the board, how people experience us. But I'm also encouraged as a new person, new chair of the board, that in these outreach programs, you are also seeing the positive impact of the organization. And I think we need to build on that. The second issue that the board deliberated on was this issue of spaza shops. Of course, we fully understand the intervention, the purpose of the intervention, and the policy driver of the intervention. But it's very important that we understand the impact of the intervention. Obviously, not all spaza shops would have received these grants. Some didn't, were not reached. Some didn't apply. Some are not even registered. So there's a lot more bigger population of spaza shops than the ones that, or on whose behalf we are talking when we're talking about people who didn't get the top up of their grants. Really, what we have asked management to do is a comprehensive study and analysis on the peak impact, but also lessons learned on how we can have a more sustainable intervention in this important policy area of spaza shops. So we appreciate the focus that you have placed on people getting their top-ups, but we're also acknowledging that I think the intervention needs to be understood holistically and more comprehensively in terms of its impact. And we have asked management to work on that. The second thing we've asked management to do is to look at this issue.
Jefferson, remember, this is a meeting of the portfolio committee and they are time bound. So I think the portfolio committee will invite the CIFA board for a comprehensive type of engagement. But we would prefer you to respond to the issues raised as at present and leave it as such.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. The issue about interest rates, which has been raised, we've also asked, because there's a fair amount of confusion about this. There's the issue of compliance, which the National Credit Act, which the CE has referred to. But there is also the issue of sustainability of these intermediaries. And there is the issue of the impact on end users. This also is an area that we feel needs to be fully studied and understood. So when a person says, we're getting an interest rate, this interest rate is oppressive or unfair, we need to be able to answer to you on how, in fact, do we compare to the rest of other DFIs or market, and the impact that we would like to have, and therefore what would be the ideal posture to the market. So I will not get into detail on that as well, but I think it's very important that I highlight that this is an issue that we ourselves seek to understand. And lastly, Chair, we will come back with the reports. I do want to echo what the CEO mentioned, that once we received all of these reports, there will be consequence management, and you will receive the reports as we are processing them, as the board, as the minister processes them. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and members, I would like to apologize on behalf of the Chairperson for using an unidentified gadget because he's reflected as Zoom user. In future, he must identify himself on the platform, as well as those that he are joining with him or on other gadgets. Chairperson, I want to take this opportunity to also advise the DG and the chair of the CIFA board that the report that is being tabled for Northwest, the remedial actions, but also the issues that the committee would have picked up in the process of engagement when they did the oversight, should be used as a template to look at nationally what is the situation. Chairperson, you would remember, even on the occasion of that visit, the then DG was there. There was that particular request that the CIFA be able to look throughout all the 9 provinces on how prevalent the situation that the committee picked up in Northwest is. But I also take a good counsel with regard to the issues raised by the honorable members and Honorable April when the issue of the report is being noted and accepted, but probably the contents are being taken with a pinch of salt. So it is important for us as the department which uses CEDA to deliver, CIFA to deliver on its behalf. Because remember, Chair, it is the minister that go to Parliament to request support for the budget, and the resources are being transferred to CIFA for administration.
You are fading, DM. Maybe it's
Chair,
network problem. Yeah,
she has been kicked out by the network, I think so.
yeah.
It was indicated.
She was evenly not well audible, but we heard what she was saying. Let me say thank you, DM, DG, and your team chairperson of CFA, CEO, for the reporting back to the portfolio committee. As I've indicated, that this is going to be an ongoing process. Will from time to time deliberate on it and will allow processes to unfold according to the constitution and law. So we really appreciate, but I believe as the portfolio committee will look at the report and come up with some recommendations so that moving forward, as they've indicated that they want to know how many kings and queens in the country. I believe this should be our role as the portfolio committee on how to assist you to find it through over or doing oversight. So we'll do so. But thank you for the presentation and the commitment you have made before this portfolio committee. Ebra King, let's go back to the agenda so that I can check my agenda. What is it that is still on the table? But all in all, DG, we are grateful that you came with this report at long last, and it can really show us that we are getting the consequence management should happen. No one must steal taxpayers' money without any punishment. We can't hear you, DM. You are fading. Then the next item is progress on the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill 2023. Braking, who's taking us on this one?
Thank you, Chair. I think you can excuse the department because this one
Okay.
will be done by
It belongs to the
administration.
portfolio.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
DM
you.
DM and your team, you are released. Thank you so much. You'll indicate to me, Braking.
Okay, yes, Chair. This one, Chair, in fact, we as the administration, together with the corner advisor and the legal advisor, we just wanted to present to the committee the progress that has been made and what is it that is expected. And then I'll request Mr. Gumede, together with Ms. Telane, to take the committee through.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Gumede.
Smo?
Braking, I'm load shedding. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
No, it's fine. Good morning, Chairperson. Morning, honorable members. Morning, colleagues. Chair, okay. There won't be much again from me, except to remind members of the portfolio committee that in November 2022, the committee had taken a decision to pursue a committee bill wherein we had sought to review the National Small Enterprise Act. What we did as the administration on the instructions of the portfolio committee was to put that resolution or decision into effect by initiating the process in terms of the rules of the National Assembly, Section Rule 273, the committee bill. We then started the process wherein we developed the memo to the Speaker of the National Assembly requesting a permission to review the same act. In turn, the National Assembly referred our request to the National Assembly. I mean, the Speaker referred our request to the National Assembly. And our request was then accented to by the National Assembly, overwhelmingly so. So the process that was supposed to follow after that, Chairperson, was then to develop a policy, which I had, given, I presented to the committee that it should be done within a space of 60 days. But when I was right in the middle of that process, also have allowed our legal guys to then now develop the bill, the actual bill. The department then tabled the executive bill, referred the same to the Speaker, and the Speaker has referred the same to the Portfolio Committee. Now, the Portfolio Committee is now in a position where is faced, or there are two intentions. One is actually a bill already, and one is a sort of a framework, because in our case, we had not yet done the bill, the exact bill. So the department has done it, and they've referred the same to the Portfolio Committee. So the Portfolio Committee must then discuss and decide and take a resolution as to whether we will then maybe rescind the committee bill and pursue the executive bill, or you would rather continue with the committee bill, then decide on what to do with the executive bill. Because in terms of the processes, Chairperson, once the executive bill is before us, we need to work on it. There is a process that we need to follow. But this session now, Chairperson, is basically to provide an opportunity to the members of the committee now to discuss what should be the way for the committee. So that if you decide to say, okay, you acknowledge the approval that we got from the National Assembly, so that the administration can then start the process of developing the memo, the same memo which will then be referred to the Speaker of Parliament. Then the Speaker will inform the National Assembly that the committee has decided to rescind the committee bill. It is now pursuing the executive bill, or any other decision that the committee may want to decide on. In attendance, Chairperson, we also invited our colleague, Miss Haley. She's also in the platform. I'm not sure if in terms of illegality would want to say anything perhaps around the issues of e-tagging, because she was actually appointed to deal with the particular issue as well in terms of the executive bill. I'm not sure if Telana, you'd want to come in maybe before we hand it over back to Chairperson. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, Sibusiso, and good morning, members. Yes, you are correct, Sibusiso. A decision needs to be taken with regards to the committee bill. But I just wanted to correct you on one point. The executive bill is before the committee. The department introduced the executive bill and presented the committee the executive bill. So at this juncture, there is an executive bill before the committee. I can go into the tagging if the committee would like me to do that now. But I think at first we should make a decision on the committee bill but I'll take your lead, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chelana.
Sure, not
Chair.
a problem, Sibusiso.
Thank you, Sbo and Ceci. I think we have discussed this last week, so we need your guidance, the legality part of it as the portfolio committee. If legally there is no harm, after all, my understanding is that is the committee we should also move forward with the executive bill at the same time. So we need advice from legal. We may take decisions, but we don't want to take decisions which will also disadvantage us.
Would you like me to respond to that, Chairperson, or should I wait? I see there's two hands, one from Honorable Kruger and Honorable Jacobs.
Yeah, let me allow them and then you will come in.
Sure, not a problem.
Honorable Kruger and then Honorable Jacobs.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just lower my hand. And thank you, colleagues, and thank you, everybody, for the presentations and for this discussion. Madam Chair, I don't have a problem whatever way the committee is going, but however, I'm just worried about the precedent that we're going to create when a committee or a private member's bill is tabled in Parliament, and then the executive all of a sudden wake up and, of the ruling party, then slip in a bill, and then and then they use it in the future to get rid of the opposition's private member's bill or a committee bill in this case. So we must just be careful when we make a decision like this, because and I don't want to talk politics in this thing, but it's not to say that the same ruling party is going to be the ruling party after 2024. So we need to be very careful when we make decisions like this. This is my first point. And then my second point, when we rescind this decision, surely Parliament must also rescind this, because we vote on it in Parliament, and it was actually a Parliament's decision with a majority votes that we carry on with this members' bill. So I'm sure we have to take it back to Parliament and have a vote on it, because it's not our decision anymore. It was a decision made by Parliament. I will just like to get clarity on that. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Jacobs.
Thank you, Chair. I think as the ANC, we would like to formally rescind the portfolio committee bill. Given that we have an executive bill in front of us, and given that there is a process that's now gazetted, I think it does make sense for us to work in a collaborative way. We are the legislature as the Parliament, and our primary role is to draft the laws and legislation. But I think we've never want to have an adversarial relationship with our executive. So I think what I'm wanting this committee to do is let's develop a process plan, and I'm glad that the legal eagles are here. Mr. Haley is here to help us understand. I think the issues that were very close to our heart was the dispute or the ombudsman process, the dispute We also wanted to pick up the township revitalization economy aspects of the bill. So I think we must get into the meat of the gazetted bill. We must engage with it. We must go through it and see what is useful there, what is not so useful, what must be added. So, Chair, I think it's a formality. For now, I'm wanting to encourage us as members not to play politics. I know we need to acknowledge that there was delays in this legislation. This was not finalized in the fifth administration. Even us, as this portfolio, we all collectively guilty for not finalizing the small business legislative framework, both Parliament and the executive. But now let's put shoulder to the wheel. Let's get working. So, Chair, I formally propose the rescinding of the committee bill so that we can proceed with what is gazetted in front of us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Jacobs. Do we have any other hand, Brakin? Hello?
Not yet, Chair. But I'm seeing Ms. Hurley wants to give a directive, or anyone or wanted a hand to second. I don't know, Chair.
Yeah, I want hands to second what? There are two speakers in front before us. So
I think we should encourage members to second, or maybe Terran can give guidance so before they second.
I'm showing my hand. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay,
Honorable Ibrahim.
I'm seeing your microphone. Okay, I see your hand.
I support. I just raised my hand in support.
Thank you, Honorable April. Any other hand?
I also support, Chair.
Thank you. The legal advisor may get in. We are supporting the executive bill since it has been gazetted. So we need advice moving forward. We want to move with speed to make sure that we run with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. So as Sipusiso alluded to, the tagging of the bill has taken place. The bill was tagged originally as a 75 by Oxler. However, we as the Constitutional Legal Services Office, we had proposed that it should be a 76, a bill that affects provinces. And that was purely based on the fact that Section 17Y of Chapter 3A of the Executive Bill deals with trade. And this is an overlapping proficiency for both provinces and national government. The JTM then agreed with our recommendation to classify the bill as a Section 76, and this is what the bill has been tagged as. At this point, the bill has been introduced, and it is now the duty of the committee secretary and the committee content advisor and parliamentary staff, as well as with the assistance of the executive, to advertise the bill and then proceed with public participation, following which we will then receive public comments, or if it is the committee's desire to host public hearings, once the committee support then provides a matrix of all the various comments, the department as well as legal services will have a chance to respond to those comments, and then the committee will deliberate on the bill and then proceed with taking a decision of whether the bill is desirable and what can change in the bill. And moving forward, the bills will then be administered in the committee. I hope I'm clear as to the next step.
Thank you. You are clear.
Thank you.
You are clear. Thanks for the advice. I believe the ball now is in our court as the portfolio committee, where the content advisor and the secretary must try to do that with the parliamentary staff to make sure that adverts are being done urgently so that we embark on those public hearings. So I think this is clear. I don't know whether members would like to ask further questions from your good self, but myself, I understood you very, very well that let it be the 76 bill, which will involve provinces. Honorable members, do we have anything to ask on what the legal advisor has advised us? Let us show by raising of hands. Braking, you'll assist.
Honorable Kruger stands up.
There is a hand from who?
Honorable Kruger and
Honorable
Jacobs.
Honorable Kruger, Honorable Jacobs. Honorable Kruger, do you
Yes,
want
Madam
any?
Chair. Yeah, no, I'm 100% clear on the process, and I agree 100%. I just want to find out the process of our of the funeral of the committee bill. What is the process? Surely there must be a process that we need to follow to get it, as I say, to attend the funeral of this.
No, there is no one dead, Lani, my son. Don't say that. Don't say that. Use another language, please. There is no
I'll
one
use
dead.
another language. I just want to find out what is the process of the getting the bill off the table. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal advisor, you will come in. Let me allow Honorable Jacobs to say something. I need clarity seeking question on what has been presented on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I think we've now agreed on a process. I think if Ms. Hailey can also just give us, she did explain to us the steps, but if we can look at timeframes and also when we can adopt a process plan for this portfolio committee, and that's going to be key. There's a sense of urgency. There's a sense of when does it go to for public comments? Do we comment now? Do we facilitate that? Do we engage with it ourselves as a portfolio committee first? And if so, when are we going to do that? So I think we just want the sequencing and the timing in greater detail, Chair.
Thank you. I will allow legal advisor to advise, but let us try that our officials work around the clock because of its agency. Honorable Jacob, Honorable Jacobs have said a mouthful. What I believe on the other previous bill, our content advisor advised that we have that latitude to can write a memo again and go back to the House and indicate our position as the portfolio committee. So I don't think that one needs debate, but I will allow our legal advisor to respond on that one as well as our content advisor, because the issue of the bills is not new. It's something which they know, but what we're requesting that they must work around the clock, as you have indicated on the issues of timeframes. Legal as who then.
Can I go first, yeah, Chair?
Yes,
Before
I wanted that.
Ms.
Yes,
Telana
yes.
comes in, yeah, Chair. Well, from my side, before my colleague Telana comes in, there is one issue, Chair, that I discussed with her. Because here I'm really trying to identify potential bottlenecks, which might actually delay this process. One issue that I raised with her was around the issue of the two legislations that founded the other two entities, which is the CBDA and CIFA, which is the Cooperative Banks Act and the IDC Act, Section 3D of the IDC Act, which founded CIFA. If perhaps we don't need to amend those acts, if we don't need to amend those acts, is it possible to use the National Small Enterprise Act to sort of influence changes in the other legislation? I hope maybe, Telana, we have done some work on that, I would want you to give me comfort to say, yes, there won't be any challenges going ahead with regards to that. That might come back in future and say, you were supposed to have done the amendments of that particular legislation. So that was my only worry. Otherwise, in terms of the process, Chairperson, Ms. Haley will also maybe correct me if I'm wrong. We just need to do that memo to the Speaker. Then the Speaker will inform the National Assembly. I'm not sure if it will go through the same consideration as the previous one. I'm not really sure on that one, but it's the same process where now we need to officially inform the Speaker that as the Portfolio Committee, we have taken this particular resolution going forward. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Telane. Come in and they also answer what Sbu has raised.
Yes, Sibusiso is correct, Chairperson. As you know, the House had passed a resolution for this committee to continue with or to proceed with the committee bill. So at this point, the committee would do a memorandum explaining the reasons why the committee bill will not be proceeded with. There has been no work besides, fair enough, there has been a policy drafted by the committee content advisor, but there hasn't been a bill presented to this committee in the form of a committee bill. However, we will do that memorandum, and I will assist the CISO with that regard. I will check the rules to make sure that we have covered all our bases. With regards to the technical question that CISO has raised, that I think we can leave, and I speak under correction. We can leave that to when deliberations of the bill do take place. I cannot give a guarantee on the content of the bill at this juncture. We haven't had an opportunity to really immerse ourselves with the content of the bill.
You are, yeah, you were muted. You can proceed now.
Okay, sure. I think I'll switch off my camera because I think the internet connection is unstable. But as I said, we haven't immersed ourselves with the content of the bill per se. But if there is a need to amend other pieces of legislation using this bill, I cannot. Can I actually leave that to when we do deal with deliberations of the bill? Because I think it is really premature at this point because we haven't even had an opportunity to engage with the outside parties and civil society and the meat of the bill. So I do think, CISO, we should pause it at this juncture as we haven't even advertised the bill at this point.
Thank you, Telana. You must not die before you are killed. I agree with you. During deliberation, these are areas which will need attention. So I agree with you. But thanks for the advisor. You must start kicking now. And then those other things, we'll see them while we are on our way towards that succession. So thanks for the advice. Is there any other member which still needs clarity? From my side, I'm satisfied. And we're giving the content advisor, the secretary, as well as our legal advisor, Telene, to proceed with the issue of the memorandum as well as the preparation for the advert, etc., etc. Is there any other member? But I'm happy if Mr. Kruger says he's clear now. Okay.
Chair, I'm sure Upra King will then maybe guide on the process plan or the project plan which we are planning to present to the committee next week. But Upra King is better pleased to guide on that. Thanks, because that was the question asked by
We are cut, but I heard you. That's why I'm saying the ball is now in your court. Ourselves, but by next week, we want to see everything in place. I agree with you, our content advisors. Braking?
Chairperson, in terms of responding to Mr. Jacobs and the committee at large in terms of time frames. For now, what will guide us, since the committee has taken a decision of rescinding that proposed and then proceed with the bill that has been tabled. So that means also the committee has agreed to advertise the bill. So in terms of time frame, it will be 30 days from now. So we'll have to advertise the bill, and then the duration for advertisement, it's 30 days. Then we shall be giving you as planned in the program on the project for the bill, that what will happen after advertisement and the time frames that should be within the bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think you are quite clear. Let's move with speed. Can we go back to our agenda? Consideration of the minutes. Okay, Telen.
Chairperson, may I be excused to the rest of the meeting?
Okay, Dali. Yeah, you are excused. Thanks for
Thank
your
you
input.
so much. Sure.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Wish you
Bye.
good luck, baby. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Consideration and adoption of committee minutes of the 30th of August and the 6th of September. Can you take us through these two sets of minutes, Braking?
Chairperson, these are the minutes of the 30th of August when we were briefed, when we were adopting the third term committee program, got a due briefing on the amendment bill and the adoption of the minutes of 7 June 2023. So can be any, these were the members were in attendance, officials and the department. And then all members that have gone through, if ever there's anything on this page 2. Page 3. So if one can comment on the resolutions that the committee did accept and acknowledge the bill as it has been presented, and the support staff should proceed with the swift preparation of processing the bill. So now, what has made that up to so far was to get a clear guidance on what do we do with the memorandum and how does it have the legal implications. So these are the minutes, Chairperson. Chairperson.
I move for the adoption of the minutes, Chair. Thank you.
Any seconder?
I do second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lorraine, for the secondment. Can we get the other set of the minutes?
Chair, these are the minutes of the 6th of September, where we're getting the quarterly 2023-24 first quarter performance of the department and the entities. Load shedding has just started where I am, Chair. So these are the members who are in present and the department that wasn't present. Briefing that was presented by the department. Presentation of a CIFA. Presentation of SIDA. And then on resolutions, the committee resolved that the department CIFA have been warned in the past to report performance of SMME, cooperative and informal traders separately. And then the MISA should ensure that marketing strategies are enhanced, applying for assistance and friendly use of the plans, and the plans for catch up on the underachievement, since we remember that it was the department reported that it had a 68%, and it was a little bit disaster of CIFA. So also department should finish the detailed profile of cooperative and that were linked to global markets strategy in mitigating Q1 achievement, which was about an achievement of 81%. So these are the minutes, Chair. And then remember that the Q person of the board was introduced by the acting DG. These are the minutes, Chairperson, of the 6th September.
Thank you, Braking. Honorable members, can I have a mover for the adoption of the minutes of the 6th September 2023 as the true reflection of what transpired during that day?
Chair, I move for the adoption of the meeting.
Thank
Okay, I
you.
second.
Thank you. I believe this was our last item. Let's call it a day. Let's go and meet at plenary at 2 o'clock. Thank you for your constructive deliberation, honorable members. The meeting stand adjourned.
Recording stopped.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Braking. His must roll now. The ball is in your court. Tuna kubona libhili gijima. November sino lala.
I think
30 days from today. Today is the 12th, the 13th.
So what the plans were that once this we have to apply first, but was targeting at least that the whole of October we put it aside for advertisement. Check.
Come again, Braking. What are you saying? I could not hear you well.
I was saying that we, since we've come to this resolution, then we'll have to apply to the House Chairperson for advertisement.
Exactly.
So,
you do that. You do that. We're done with that. Yours is to write now. No
yes.
Problem. Yours is to do that, Braking. Smoo said you will advise, do that. Let Teleni advise you on how to craft it. Next week, I want to get good results.
Chair.
Singamana iChristmas sidle endleleni sibhizi nama-public hearing.
Hayi Chair, kuzobe kumele sibone abantwana.
Baboneni manje.
Asinabo manje abe.
Sizoya ku-recess after these 2 weeks. Hayi bekubanda eCape Town, Braking, nala eMpumalanga kuyabanda.
Yabona
Ayikhona.
ukuthi sikhotha kanjani la eCape Town.
Ngibonile. Hayi. Mina ngizobuyela on Wednesday. Sunday bangeke bangibone lapho. Ngemhlangano on Monday. I'm not coming. Ngiyawasaba mina amakhazi.
Okay, Chair.
Thank you.
Bye. Nwabisa. Nwabisa. We're on voicemail, Nwabisa. Hello, Honorable Tomelang. Okay, bye-bye.